How do we return to the past? How do we build a bridge between the past and the present? And what does loss really mean? 5 years ago, when I sat down with my grandparents and I asked them about their childhood, I didn't know that I would be addressing these questions. These are my great-grandparents, Savitri Devi and Anand Singh Bhalla. In 1947, my great-grandmother was just 32 years old when her husband was murdered and she was forced to leave Lahore with her children and in-laws. She crossed the invisible border that now divides India and Pakistan and went far away from her home, unaware of the fact that she cannot return. When India gained independence at the end of colonial rule, the country was divided into India and Pakistan. Its regions of Punjab and Bengal were separated between the two countries, while Sindh was given away entirely to Pakistan, forcing millions of Sindhi Hindus and Sikhs to vacate their homes. And when people left their homeland, they left with the hope of going back, of returning to the home that they have built with so much love and so much care. This division of the land not only led to the separation of a single undivided land, but also of its people who for centuries had lived together, side by side, as neighbors, friends, family even. Even before the borders were drawn between these two countries, violence had taken over, forcing people to vacate their homes at a minute's notice. They left in trains like these, or walked for days, months even, in long caravans, unaware of whether they will reach the new homeland, the promised country, the promised homeland, for which they had sacrificed so much. They lived in refugee camps like these after migrating to their new countries. My grandparents also sought refuge in one of these camps. They stayed there for a couple of months until they were rehabilitated to a new place, a new home, which they didn't call home because they wished to go back to what was home for them, and it was Lahore. It always has been. A couple of years ago, when I asked my grandparents about partition, one of the key questions that I held close to my heart, that I still hold close to my heart, is how do you discover your roots when they're buried under years of silence? For most of the people who migrated during partition, they decided to bury their memories, forget the pain and the trauma that they have held on to for so long. It's difficult, can you imagine, to carry all of this pain. So when they forgot it, they removed it from their homes, from our families. Instead of stories, we started to inherit silences about what happened in the past. But the rare moments when my grandparents decided to share fragments of their life have been my only connection to my roots. And these are the connections that I hold on to. The silences that they have left me with reverberate in my family. So I decided to address them. And when I asked them about the partition, about their childhood, they started sharing. I didn't expect them to even tell me a single thing, but over time, after pestering, if I may say so, they started telling me about the life that they left behind. And as I collected these memories, I started discovering photographs. This is my grandfather and his siblings. I discovered documents, old photographs, and letters which my family carried across from what is now Pakistan, from home. And somehow these letters survived. When I collected all of these documents and these stories, I realized that my grandfather's memories are not just memories, they're also history that they have carried along. I began this research in 2020, 5 years before. Back then, the pandemic had just begun, forcing people to stay in their homes, cooped up. But I decided to step out. And when I began asking people about the partition, I realized the urgency of this work, because so many who had migrated at that time had been lost. These few remaining people were a lost connection to undivided India and Pakistan. I interviewed people on both sides of the border, in India and Pakistan. And when I started speaking with people in Pakistan, I realized that we are the same people, with a single culture, language, and above all, history. As people told me about their stories, their memories, their homes, They also started to tell me about the things that they miss about their homes, things that they wish they could have carried along, things that they wish did not happen. And what started to emerge out of all of these was an archive of loss. An archive which comprises not only of things, but also intangibles like memory, heritage, language, culture, humanity, even childhood for that matter. Surinder Kumar once told me that because of the partition, he felt like he had lost his ancestral land, that he did not have a home to return to. Imagine being in his place, a boy of 7 or 8, forced to leave his homeland with no idea of what will happen next or whether he will ever be able to go back. As I interviewed people and spoke to them about all of these losses, I could see the past and the present come together, almost amalgamate. Because what had happened during the partition, and especially with the people whom I spoke with, they were children at the time. So for them, these memories of home had turned into memories of trauma, of pain, of violence that they continue to hold on to, despite burying them. Despite forgetting them, they felt like they cannot forget them. It created a conflict in their minds and their hearts. How do you forget your home? Is it even possible to forget your home and move on? You might have created a new home, but the old one always stays with you. And when people told me about these old homes, it was almost like they were reliving these memories. They had returned in time, they had returned to the past. By recalling, they were reliving moments of fear, of pain, of violence, and of survival. In 2022, I became the first person in my family to return to Lahore. This is the first picture I clicked when I crossed the border between India and Pakistan. I stood there and I just observed. I absorbed everything that I had been feeling, carrying with me. And when I went across Lahore, my grandfather's Lahore, it was with all of these memories, all of these stories, and with a burden on my shoulder, a burden, a weight of memories that my family had given to me, that all the people whom I had interviewed had passed on to me. It was as if in these interviews, I had inherited their memories. I had inherited their stories, which I continue to carry. During that trip, I was able to find my grandfather's home. This is his home. I stood outside his pre-partition home, the one he left behind in 1947 and never went back to. Because what had happened during this research was that I had developed a longing for Lahore. While searching for their histories, their memories, I had built a connection with this city, a connection I didn't know I could build, a connection that I didn't know existed, that it can pass on through memory, through stories. And when I gave a tour of this house to my grandfather and his brother on video call, I showed him each and every room, every corridor, every room, every building that they had, the trees that he was so fond of. And when they saw these homes, I could see the nostalgia in his eyes. I could see everything that he felt that he had lost, things that he wished for. So now I stand before you with the hope to rebuild these bridges. As I hold on to these losses, these memories that not just my family, but all those whom I spoke with have given to me, I hope to rebuild these bridges that were burnt down in 1947, so that we can remember we can remember to preserve this history which is buried in memory.